I want to talk about this because Alberta really seems to be bravely leading the way on social issues when the rest of the country is just putting it into the rhubarb, as they say out here on the prairies. And that is the closure of the supervised, I was going to say safe, but it's definitely not safe to put poisons in your body, consumption site at the Royal Alexandra Hospital. If you have ever been to the Royal Alexandra Hospital lately, you are running the gauntlet of people who are slowly or quickly, depending on the day, putting themselves into an early grave. And the province has made sure now that that is no more. And I see that other provinces, namely Saskatchewan, have adopted now our targeted approach on
Mhm.
the opioid poison epidemic. It's not just getting rid of the supervised injection sites or consumption sites or smoking sites or huffing sites or whatever it is, but they're also moving towards what they call compassionate care, where families and communities that are held hostage by somebody else's addiction have a point of contact with the police to get these people into forcible treatment,
Mhm.
um, and get them back being productive members of society, because it is this is not kindness to allow people to languish in addiction and then ask the rest of us to help them with it. I'll go to Stockwell.
Glad you picked that up. I just saw that late yesterday or today. Also, I posted it on my X account and on my podcast at Stockwell Day to Day News, which X won't advertise, but you can grab it there on Spotify or YouTube. That's a clear point, another mark of distinction for the province of Alberta. And I tell you, I can remember very clearly when I got into federal politics, this is way back, before electricity was invented. And one of the first things, because I was representing British Columbia, and so I would be downtown a fair bit, downtown Vancouver. And of course, anybody who's been to downtown East Side knows the shocking, horrifying tragedy of what has developed there over the years. And a number of us opposed at that time when they were starting to talk about these so-called safe sites, where
Ugh.
you can safely go and shoot up, and people will sit with you while you do your drugs. They even make now in Vancouver, and have been for some period of time, there's actually dispensing machines where you can get all
Yeah.
the equipment you need, whether it's the smoking paraphernalia or the shooting up paraphernalia. And now they're being what the politicians are doing, because they know it's pretty hard to escape the heartbreaking sight of hundreds of people sprawled across the sidewalks of Vancouver. And so they're buying up buildings, they're just moving them into the buildings out of sight, and they're
Ugh.
dying in those buildings. But at the time, what I want to get to here, when a couple of us raised that issue, we got hounded in media, we got ridiculed, we were told, because we were saying this approach is going to lead to an increase in drug deaths, an increase in drug addiction. We were told, no, it's not. This is being transparent, this is being loving. And of course, with this whole approach to providing free drugs, providing so-called safe sites, providing the equipment, now giving them rooms to go and live in for free, that whole approach is going to be an increase. And of course, it's gone through the roof. Addiction rates through the roof, death rates way up since they
Yeah.
adopted that policy. And again, Alberta isn't just saying we're stopping something, they're providing the alternative.
Right.
And it is clearly the way to go. We need to see more examples of this. But I can tell you what, you're in media, and I was on the other side for quite a while. There's a real fear among politicians that the stories that mainstream media is broadcasting and waving the flag for daily, many politicians think, well, I guess that's what people think. It's not what most people think.
No.
Most people, when you do
Interesting.
the polls, are very clear. The majority are opposed to this approach to providing free drugs and free shoot 'em up sites. They're also, by the way, on the gender issue, that's about an 85-15 issue.
Hmm.
85% of the people in
Hmm.
support of keeping transgendered out of girls' sports. So I'll say to my colleagues who are still there in media, and with all respect to the two media personalities, the superstars I'm talking to right now, do not fear media.
No.
As a matter of fact, if mainstream media attacks you because you are sticking up for girls and at the same time advocating for transgendered athletes to have their own division, you are not going to lose. You will gain votes. I guarantee you will gain votes. If you stand up and speak out on behalf of getting rid of the so-called provision of drugs and sites and looking at recovery models. Mainstream media is going to go crazy on you. You will gain votes from doing that.
So interesting. We were just having a real similar conversation just yesterday at the Saskatchewan Legislature Stockwell Day. So I'm so happy you mentioned all of that.
Yes. Yeah, I'm fully convinced that anybody in favor of these supervised consumption sites has never had the horror of a real destructive addict in their vicinity. It's always people who have really never had any contact with a real black hole of an addict, that are in favor of allowing people to continue to languish without dignity in an addiction. And to Jason Kenney's credit, and I have been a critic of him, he really started ramping up the treatment beds in Alberta and putting them in places that were the federal and continue to be the federal government's responsibility, like on reserve. If the federal government was not going to help the Indigenous people battle back this plague of addiction, the Alberta government stepped up and did it. And I give them credit for that because nobody else was doing it at the time. Hey everyone, Sheila Gunn Reid here, and I'm thrilled to introduce the 2 books that I just wrote, and I use that word pretty loosely. Meet The Case for Confederation, Alberta's Compelling Reasons to Stick Around, and The Case for Confederation, Saskatchewan's Compelling Reasons to Stick Around. 2 beautifully bound volumes packed with every strong promise and well-researched argument for why Alberta and Saskatchewan should stay within the confines of Canada. And by packed, I mean the pages are blank. These 2 books are completely empty because when I went looking for Ottawa's case to keep the prairies, or rather for us to stay, that's exactly what I found. Nothing. Flip through either book and you'll reach the same conclusion I did. If the federal government has a convincing argument, it didn't make it into the pages of my book or into reality for that matter. These books will make the perfect gift for your favorite prairie firebrand, your CBC-soaked Liberal coworker, or anyone who still insists equalization is fair. Or how about for that guy who yells elbows up every time pipelines or canola or potash comes up. And look, even if Ottawa won't offer Alberta or Saskatchewan much, these blank books can, because they're lined. They double as notebooks, instantly making them more useful than any federal promise since 1905. Get your copies today at thecaseforconfederation.com. Order now to get yours in time for Christmas. Again, that's thecaseforconfederation.com.